What the F happened to Mike Mayhew? We're gonna find out in this video. Hey everybody, I'm Dennis Barger, 21-year veteran of owning comic retail stores. Did Mike Mayhew destroy his career with his current crash out? Or is he setting a new industry standard for which artists like him are gonna be headed? All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes. Mike Mayhew had a glorious crash out last week. The industry has all been responding to it, and as a supporter of Mike's, I'm gonna respond to it as well. In case you're not familiar, this is what Mike posted on his Instagram just 8 days ago. My summer 2026 Comic-Con manifesto. Fellow comic creators, stop giving away equity in your future and your brand. Do not feed these half-ass part-time tourists who call themselves stores. Half of them can't handle it and crash into a wall from greedy and stupidity and take us with them. Their interests are not in your best interest. You have wings that are being clipped. When you are exhausted after convention season, 60% of your energy will have been wasted on accommodating these so-called stores and fans. It's unnecessary. Think of the art you could have made in the meantime. You are the proven innovator. You have extraordinary talent. Don't kid yourself into thinking you need others to justify your success. And double your prices, gee damn it. Your talent and signature isn't gasoline. You are not a commodity that should be available to everyone. You are special. And all of those things they'll never sell will be on eBay tomorrow. That was Mike's manifesto, but here's how he closed it. I will not be at any cons. I will be in the comfort of my own home with my family and traveling with loved ones for pleasure, while designing and scaling a creative brand with total freedom to do whatever I want. Take heed, time is running out. Mike Mayhew. I think he's talking about these middlemen, comic whatevers. And that's what I'm gonna call them from now on, whatevers. They're not retailers, they're not stores, they're whatevers. These whatevers are constantly bothering artists. Well, can you do it for this price instead of what you want? Can you assign these comic books for this price instead of what you're asking? I have a whole bunch of them. Could you stop your entire line so that you can do all of this short box for me? These whatevers are the biggest middlemen in the industry right now. They've created an entire bloated ecosystem that they have to fuel. And if they don't fuel it, they all start dying. And they've already started, in my opinion. They're constantly out there hustling from comic creator to comic artist, trying to do side deals and exclusive signings. And sure, a lot of people think that's a great support system. But the industry needs to move on its own steam. I hear stories all the time of actual comic book fans who go to the signing at the exact time they're supposed to be there, and two guys are in front of them, each with a short box. And those two guys sit there when the artist comes back and start putting comic books out for them to sign. And they have to wait a half hour to an hour for those two middlemen clowns to finish their entire short box for this hot artist before they get to meet the actual fan who just wanted to get one comic signed and buy a print. These middlemen do this all the time at shows. And sometimes they do it at the big middleman agent booth. Guess what? We just put 3 layers in between the fan and the comic creator. But there's still one more that Mike Mayhew calls out. I think this is the least offensive and probably the one that Mike takes the most heat from, but I know who he's talking about. The fan flippers. This is the fan who comes up and says, hey, how much is your original art? Well, I do $100 for a sketch and $200 for colors. Oh, I want a $200 color. And then that creator goes home on Monday and they want to go see what their gasoline is going for these days. and they see the sketch they did just the day before at the convention for the fan who said, I'll never flip this and keep it forever. And they've got that $200 sketch on eBay for $800. It's happened to the best of them. They've all posted that they got asked to do a last-minute sketch at a convention for a super fan or a fan that was sick, and then see it on eBay less than a week later. This ruins it for everyone. And yes, I consider those fan flippers to be an absolute middleman who is tying up the time of the creator at a convention, who can now, with the power of live selling, go directly to his fans and put his talent and his product right in front of the fans and get a play-by-play auction sale of what their piece is worth to their real fan. Oh, sure, there's going to be a couple middleman flippers in that live stream. There's going to be some people who take advantage of a good sale when they see one. For the most part, a talented creative like Mike Mayhew can go on a live stream, find his audience, find his fans directly, charge what he wants and what he's asking for each one of his products that he created for his fans. And he can find them directly and sell to them directly. This is a pipeline that cuts out all the middlemen. And guess what? All the middlemen are the ones who are complaining. I mean, sure, somebody like Mike Mayhew has the juice enough to go direct to his audience. And sure, he probably had to go to a lot of middlemen to help build that audience. But now he's ready to say no more. And he's telling the other artists that are friends with him, that are in his community, guys, do what I'm doing. Get rid of all the middlemen. Stay at home. Create more art. Directly connect with your fans and your fans alone. And create a bridge that is unbreakable between them and that nobody else profits in between. But what about the young artists? The young bucks coming up that aren't Mike Mayhew? Those guys have to understand that if a guy like Mike Mayhew at the top of his game is calling this war against the middleman, then they can start at a better playing field where they don't get taken advantage of. There's a lot of artists that pay $500 or $1,000 to attend a convention that the convention lists them as a guest, but they had to pay for their table. Tell the comic conventions, if they're not willing to give you your table for free, then they don't get to call you a guest. They're abusing that language and taking advantage of you. I've talked to big named artists who have paid big, huge conventions money to attend their convention and get a table, and then they're called guest of honor or guest. They're very upset about this slight against their talent. Guys, San Diego Comic-Con does not charge their guests at the convention for their table. Sure, they only give them 4 feet a table. And sure, they've got some guests that are a little dubious that they're in the comic book industry to begin with. But they don't charge because they're San Diego. You would think all the other conventions below that wouldn't charge their guests either. But I know a staggering amount of big name guests that have paid for a table at some of the biggest conventions in this country and been called guest even though they're paying their own way. Same thing with agents. I know a lot of these big name agents bring in 10, 20, 30 guests to a convention, but they pay the way of all the top 10, and they kind of pay the way of the middle 10. And then the other 10 are allowed to tag along, but still have to kick some proceeds up top to the agency. I say if you're going to be that kind of an agent, you got to have an even deal across the table for everybody. So what's Mike Mayhew really talking about? Well, he says it all in his thing. Guys, he's sick of these middlemen getting in there and taking up his time, sending him to conventions, making him do signings at their booth for a variant that they give him $500 to $1,000 to do the art on, and then they make the lion's share of the profit. He's tired of these fan flippers coming up and giving him a sob story at a convention. And he can't say no. He doesn't want to get blasted by these fan flippers. So he does it. And then he finds it for sale on eBay the next day. There's a lot of things that we can do in this community. But chastise Mike Mayhew for having the straw finally break his back, him going and making a manifesto describing all of these people who we all in this industry know are out of line. That is something to support Mike Mayhew about, because we all talk about this. We all talk about every one of these. It's just Mike Mayhew had the sack to say, I'm calling them all out. Guess what? Me too. I understand one simple principle. Without comic artists, there are no comics, unless we switch to AI tomorrow. And I don't think anybody wants that. From Dennis Barger, Wonder World Comics, Cosmic Pop Retro, we're celebrating the past and living for the future. We'll see you on the next video.